Today on the Blockbuster show, we're talking about Frozen 2. I find it very interesting that this movie is actually made 3 years before the actual Frozen movie came out. Yeah, this one was, it's very different. It took the film series in a completely different direction. You know, now it's all of a sudden live action, and you know, Elsa and Anna and Kristoff and all those guys, they're nowhere to be found. It's very odd. Also, apparently they did a Frozen movie in 2005, and it was made in the UK. And it's supposed to be like some kind of psychological thriller or something. Do you think Disney is going to buy the rights to these movies and then just lie and say that they're actually part of the same film series?
Last run, gotta make it count.
No one knows that we're up here.
This is so messed up.
Hello?
Hey!
It's Sunday, and they're not open again till Friday.
If we're up here all week, we're gonna die. Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't wanna die up here! Help!
So yeah, comedically enough, there's this little indie horror movie that came out in 2010 with the same exact title of a now popular and beloved Disney movie. As a winter storm approaches, 3 people become stranded on a chairlift high above the ground after a ski resort closes for the night. The main characters in question are main guy, girlfriend, and the main guy's best friend. And so they're out there, they're trying to have, you know, a nice little ski vacation, and we get a couple of montages at the beginning of them, you know, just kind of, you know, doing ski stuff, but they establish that she's not really good at skiing, and you think that's going to be set up for something later? Not really, kind of isn't. I am more than inclined to believe that the director of this movie was at one point a skater dude when he was younger, and he just held on to all these stock tapes that he used to have of like all this like generic pop punk sounding stuff, and he just decided to use it for the movie.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Woo! You guys ready?
Also, this is one of those movies where the main characters are just kind of unlikable, especially in the first half, because like they establish that they don't want to pay for a ride on the chairlift, and so they just make the main girl go over and flirt with the guy who's operating it. And then she ends up giving him $100 so that they don't have to pay. So it's like, what's the point? Just pay for tickets.
Give him the full 100.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna do it for 50.
And then for whatever reason, they're on the chairlift, like, and it's still like, you know, broad daylight outside, and it comes to a stop, so that, you know, which they do. They occasionally stop to let people get off, make sure that, you know, people get off safely, but they stop for like a minute, and they just start bitching like, hey, keep this thing moving, oh, come on, what's going on? And it's like, who are they even yelling at? Are they yelling at the people in front of them? What the hell are they supposed to do?
Okay, what asshole couldn't get on the chair right?
What the hell, right?
Dude!
Are they yelling at the guy who's supposed to be operating the thing? Because the guy operating it is like long gone. He's like far away from them. He's not gonna hear them yelling. Also in this scene of them riding the chairlift, they have a bunch of like really weak attempts at trying to like make the characters quirky and have like relatable dialogue.
You know what? I'm so sick of potheads giving me shit about smoking butts.
At least pot does something for you.
Oh.
Lines of them say like, you know, oh man, yeah, I'm more into skiing. Yeah, skateboarding, that's so like wannabe emo, you know what I mean?
Tell me, when are you gonna get rid of those goddamn skis?
Come on. What? I mean, snowboards are just too emo for me. I mean, those things are a fad. 10 years, they'll be gone.
Oh yeah, man, you know, skiing, that's totally where it's at. It's way better than skateboarding or surfing, bruh. I think the closest I've ever come to hearing a conversation like this play out was in middle school. I remember hearing a couple of guys who were really into riding bikes arguing with a couple of guys that like riding scooters. So after another montage, they then, you know, they're drinking hot chocolate at one of the cabins or whatever, and they're talking about, oh, you know, before the day is done, you know, it's nighttime out now, but, you know, just one more quick round of skiing, and, you know, we can call it a proper vacation. Meanwhile, the girlfriend's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm just gonna go back, and, you know, I'm gonna go to bed, you guys enjoy the rest of the night, and the main guy just insists that she come along, they all just do one more quick round, and of course, it's nighttime out, and this is where the main event of the movie is going to take place. And of course, they're going to end up getting stuck on the chairlift. Also established this thing, which I guess was supposed to go somewhere, of the best friend trying to hook up with this one girl because he tried to help her with her snowboard. And then like one of her friends or whatever came over and tried to like hassle with them, but then they were flirting with each other before they eventually got on the ski lift.
I only look half your boyfriend's size.
He's my ex-boyfriend. We're, you know, trying to still be friends and everything, but as you can see, it's not really gonna work out.
No way.
A group of us all agreed to go skiing this weekend, and well, whatever, it's his whole story, and I don't want to hold you up, but that was just really embarrassing, and I just wanted to say sorry.
That's no problem.
Our main characters convince the guy who's operating the ski lift to let them go down one more time so that they can do another round of skiing before it's midnight or whatever. That guy steps away because he says he has something like his brother's bachelor party or something, so he goes to another operator to handle it, and he says, oh, look out for 3 skiers, you know, which of course, you know that some miscommunication shit's gonna happen, and sure enough, he sees 3 other skiers go by, and he thinks that was who the other guy was talking about. He shuts down the chairlift, and from there, our main characters get stuck on the thing. Our 3 main characters are now stuck on the chairlift. It's now midnight. A snowstorm rolls in, and they also establish that they're probably going to be stuck there all week because apparently this place doesn't operate except for like 3 days out of the week. So yeah, it seems like they're going to be there for at least 5 days.
It's Sunday. It's fucking Sunday, and they're not open again till Friday. We're gonna be stuck here all week.
After a bunch of really lame-ass dialogue, we get something interesting as Kane Hodder, the horror legend himself, shows up, and he's like riding on like a snowmobile, and he rolls on through. They try to get his attention, and at first it seems like it works, but of course he ends up being called back to the station or whatever. So yeah, it was just kind of a fake out. Like, you think they're gonna get away, you think he's gonna go get help or something. No, they're still trapped up there. Boyfriend says that he's gonna try and make a jump and see what will happen, and of course he ends up falling into the snow, his legs break, and then a bunch of wolves show up, and yeah, the wolves eat him. We both see this play out, they have a good cry, we get more lame attempts at trying to build character, I guess, because girlfriend brings up a whole thing about how she just adopted a puppy, and how if she dies, the puppy's not going to make it, or something. That just kind of comes out of nowhere.
She's just a puppy. She's not gonna understand that I died. She's gonna think that I left her, that I forgot about her. She's probably waiting by the front door right now.
Next day, they establish that their frostbite is getting worse, which is really funny because at one point she like scratches where like some of her skin is starting to fall off, and it's like, why would you do that? Also a part where they fell asleep and then they wake up the next morning, and she has her hand on the handrail, which is of course really stupid because guess what? Like in A Christmas Story with the tongue, it freezes to it and then she has to rip it off, and then, oh, there's like a bunch of blood marks on her hand. You think that if you were out in the cold and it was freezing, you would try as best as you possibly could to bundle up inside of your heavy-ass jackets. That shit like Kenny from South Park. More character-driven dialogue, I guess, because then best friend launches into a whole thing about how he was once in a relationship, but then his girl then ran off with someone else, and he inadvertently met the boyfriend character who's now dead. Best friend finally decides he's gonna put one of his plans into action, and that he's gonna try and climb across the cable and then get to one of the ladder stations, climb down, and then try to get help. Which is interesting because he mentions that earlier, and it was back when the boyfriend character was still alive, and the boyfriend said something like, no, don't do that, you're gonna rip your gloves. And it's like, yeah, if you try like ziplining across, but if you just climb across it, it might leave some marks on your gloves, but it's not going to rip them apart. The plan actually works. He gets back on the ground. He stops one of the wolves from attacking him with their ski equipment, which they threw. So he goes down the mountain to try and get help, and then like some time passes, and then main girl decides that she's going to try and jump, even though we've learned that that was a bad idea from when the boyfriend tried it. But it doesn't seem like it really matters, because then the chair decides to become extremely fucking rickety and fall apart. And just as she falls down, she ends up managing to be safe until the chair ends up falling and it breaks one of her legs. But despite the broken leg, she then gets onto the snowboard, which they had, that they threw, and she decides to go down the mountain. And it was at this point I realized, wait a minute, she broke a leg, and she's now going down the mountain on the snowboard. Why didn't the guy, the boyfriend character, why didn't he get on the snowboard? Because it was close to him. When he broke both of his legs, why didn't he just do that earlier? No, you know, just another way to try and kill a character, I guess. You know, he broke both of his legs. Oh no, he's screwed. There's no way he could have just climbed with both of his working hands. No, he just had to sit there in the snow, do nothing, and then got eaten by wolves. Speaking of, main girl then goes down the mountain, finds the remains of best friend, who's now eaten by the wolves. Main girl is able to give the wolves the slip. She then tumbles down the mountain a little bit. She ends up getting to the side of a road. She's picked up by someone who says there's a hospital 10 minutes away, and then the movie just ends.
Be okay. You're gonna be okay, baby. You're gonna be okay.
One thing that's really popular to criticize about this movie is the lack of frost breath all throughout this movie, because it's filmed practically. They filmed it at night in freezing weather. Then there are scenes where there are characters breathing and there's no frost breath. And honestly, I wouldn't have pieced that together, but then eventually I noticed that apparently the director gets really defensive if you point that out. Like, he gets so fucking livid if you point that out about this movie. As it stands, this movie's just kind of mediocre. I mean, if you have a fear of heights and a fear of chairlifts, then maybe. And the thing is, like, if this was a short film and they, you know, they had some of the dumb dialogue, you know, cut down a little bit, actually could have been pretty interesting as a thriller, you know, if it ended kind of ambiguously, like, oh no, will they get out? Done, then just cut away, and then, you know, you can kind of put your own little interpretation. Like, if this was Michael Dougherty's Frozen, that probably would have been just slightly more interesting. This movie has an interesting idea behind it. I like some of the more practical effects that this movie has. You know, no dumbass CG. It's actual snow. You know, that's something interesting about it. I mean, the production is fine for what it is. Aside from the music choices at the beginning, that was just odd. It's not like it's a painful movie to watch or anything. It has ideas, and I guess if you're looking for a quick, dumb, cheap, you know, horror movie for the Christmas season where there's lots of snow and stuff, you know, despite it not really being a Christmas movie, kind of like the actual Disney Frozen. And sure, give it a watch. I wouldn't really expect anything brilliant out of this movie. It's just, like I said, interesting idea, just has really dumb choices in it. And the acting, it's not the best. That's the other thing. Some of the acting, especially from the main girl, it's not that great. Believe me, I think this is going to be one of the better movies we're going to be talking about for Blockbusters this month, because next time we're looking at an Asylum knockoff movie, and it's Home Alone with dogs. That's right, it's fucking Bone Alone, also known as Alone for Christmas. Either way you try to spin it, it has a dumbass title, and of course, it's from a dumbass company like the Asylum. So yeah, look forward to that next time. Until then, I'm Adam Sykes of The Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Hey man, do me a solid. I gotta take a piss so bad I can taste it, man. Hey, just go for like 2 minutes.